It is a very rare thing that Zach Berman or Bo Wulf is ever wrong about something related to the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about that next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. This is the only time you're going to get one of these. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome to the show on a Tuesday, 2 o'clock. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, all kinds of sickos in the chat. I see Fran Duffy. I see Claire. I see Matt. I see Phil. It's a community here. We're building. But we don't really want too many new people. We just want to sort of bunker in with our people. That's how I feel. How you doing, Zach?
I disagree wholeheartedly. I welcome. I want to grow this audience. I want to grow
growth brings riffraff.
No, we don't want that. We work so hard. We want more people to enjoy the fun of the show, the information of the show, and to be better informed and better entertained.
Better informed, better entertained. Now, we're going to do a little, we get the mini bye. That means there's a little extra time to talk. We can take a bit of a step back, more so than we usually get to do in the flow of a game week. Every week is a season, as you like to say. And though we did talk to the coordinators today, we will hear a little bit about that in a minute. And we want to get to the Joe Douglas news, which is interesting. We'll unpack that later. What we want to do is do a little bit of introspection. Some of the things that we thought about this team coming into the season that we were right about, some of the things that we were wrong about. And I know that you know, for me, this is very rare. I mean...
Yeah, I do know that about you, yes.
It was hard for me. We have 3 right, 3 wrong. It's hard for me to come up with 3 things I was wrong about. I mean, I'm stretching it, really. There's really like one.
For me, there was a bunch of things that I say, I wish I was better informed there. Wish I got that correct. So I actually had the opposite experience, but I believe very much in introspection. I do it often.
Yes, you do like to rake yourself over the coals quite a bit.
That's the only way to get better, right?
I disagree with that. That's not the only way to get better.
You see, you're more like Jalen. You like the flush performances, right?
Maybe.
I think that's accurate. I think, whether the show's good, whether the show's bad, there's another show the next day.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
and that's true.
And like it keeps me up at night.
Yeah, but you don't then balance that the hand wringing out with appreciating the things that have gone well.
No, you know what? I think
you need to accept. I think you need to be kinder to yourself on the wins.
Yeah, I remember covering a Virginia-Boston College basketball game.
We all remember that game.
It was up in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and Tony Bennett's talking after the game, and I remember someone tried bringing up a question about like the effort that the team was playing with, and Tony shot back. He's a very respectful man. He didn't shoot back, but he pushed back on the question, essentially saying, "Effort's the price of admission. You don't get on the court without effort, right? So there's no applauding effort." And
I'm not just talking about effort.
You have
plenty of opportunities to celebrate some wins for yourself.
No, and so I mean, even growing up, like you don't get credit for doing what you're supposed to do. So
yeah, but those are not the same things.
Anyways, let's get on to the Eagles.
If you're killing yourself with 2 hours of sleep on the whoop ring every night, you got to at least be happy about something that you've done.
You combine the whoop ring and the aura ring, or the oop band and the aura ring.
Yeah, they're all nonsense.
They're not. Bo, this is
I've
science.
been trying to do something.
Are you a science denier?
I've been trying to do something,
Are we
Zach.
getting to that? You're
I've been
denying
trying to
science?
do something where I've been trying to keep a running list of, for your purposes and for my purposes, all of the technological advances over the past, like my lifetime, that I think have unequivocally done good. And so far, I'm at 1.
That is such a pessimistic.
Maybe 2, depending on how much you like the tap on the credit card. I do like the tap on the credit card.
That's such a pessimistic view of society. There's so many things every day that makes our life better, easier.
Yeah, but there are lots of trade-offs to those things. So far, I have one thing.
What's the one thing?
The rear view camera when you're backing up on a car.
That's the only thing.
Yes.
And you see, to me, like you already had a rear view mirror. That's just, but okay, I suppose so.
Yeah, but for safety purposes, that's huge.
I mean, what about smartphones? What about the ability?
Yeah. Your big example the other day was we weren't able to react to like a text message.
No, I'm saying, what about like you're walking down the street or you're walking in Philly and you don't know your way, and you can just put the address in the Google Maps and it'll tell you exactly how to get there.
Yeah,
what
that's
about the
okay.
ability,
That's
what about the ability to
helpful-ish,
text?
but people found ways to get around before that.
What about like back, if you wanted to know what your homework was in high school, you had to call someone up, right? Now you can just look on, everything's there. You can text.
That's your number 2 example?
No,
Come
I'm
on.
saying
it's not hard to have a syllabus.
Text messaging, finding everything. Do you remember like I don't know. We don't need to. If
I'm setting aside like actual medical improvements, those things. I mean,
how about the fact that we have a show that's on YouTube that people can watch on their computer screens that they can listen to on their phones?
I'm glad we have that. I'm glad we get paid for that. But I don't know that it's a good thing that so many people have to be subjected to me for
that
this
they can
much.
listen to on their phones. Like, what about the fact that
we would have found other ways.
We put food on the table based on technology and based on new
but
technologies.
I'm just saying. I don't know if that's an unequivocal good.
No, I think I love technology. Technology.
Yeah, we know you love technology.
Yeah, and I also think
if you feel free, please in the chat, let me know if there's anything else I can add to this list, because right now I've just got the rear view camera
and
maybe the tap on the credit card.
And I didn't take you for so anti-science.
It's not science.
To measure the amount of sleep you had, to measure your heart rate when you sleep. So
it's a little pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience?
Yeah.
It's not pseudoscience. This is literally.
Yeah, you don't need to drink like a canyon's worth of
here.
water every day.
You should know why I would say water is very beneficial for your body. Now, the actual volume of water could be debated, but you need to hydrate yourself. It's good for your cells.
A little bit of water.
It's good for your organs. It's good for your brain.
Ooh, NFL Red Zone. Not a bad answer, Matt. Although, there's a bit of a push-pull there. Like, are we overvaluing fantasy? The actual benefit of it is just going right to the billionaires' pockets. Is that worthwhile for us? But yeah, I mean, it certainly makes the viewing experience easier for.
We've already gone
fans.
way on a tangent. I just don't know how you have such a pessimistic view of everything. It seems like
it's not everything.
If the only benefit of technology is the rear view camera,
I mean, an absolute marvel. Fantastic.
Yeah, but I'm saying if that's the only benefit. Yeah, we are.
Julia, what's your favorite piece of technology? You got anything that comes to mind?
The rearview mirror doesn't really I don't even really use the rearview mirror, so that doesn't really do it for me. But I would say, this is going to sound really nerdy, but like live streaming equipment and like music. Although I do appreciate a record, so yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick anecdote.
So far I am unmoved.
I have a quick anecdote about rear view mirrors, and I don't apply.
Okay.
I remember this story from Bob Huggins. Okay.
Ripped his off. Says I don't like to look in the past.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He was talking about growing up, and he got into a truck, and there was no mirror, and the person said we're not going backwards, and yeah, it was his analogy for how West Virginia should play or think.
Now somebody brings up air conditioning, but air conditioning was around before I was born, so I can't. That's not within my lifetime.
The Eagles.
Air conditioning is good.
Let's discuss the Eagles.
Well, first we have a super chat from Chase Daniel Plainview, and this is an Eagles question for you. He says, on Saquon's 2 touchdown runs, why didn't he slide at the 1 to set up Jalen for a tush push? Does Saquon not want the children of Philly to get air conditioning in their schools? Interesting you bring this up, Chase Daniel Plainview, because Zach has a very specific answer for just this question.
Yeah, I have a story up now on Saquon Barkley and the brotherly shove, tush push, quarterback sneak, Snoopy, however you want to frame it. I
Gotta
would
be a
recommend-
diehard.
Yeah,
Sign
I
up
would
to be
recommend
a
reading that
diehard.
on allphly.com. And interestingly, with that, I forgot about this until I went through the numbers. Saquon's had 4 carries at the 1 and the 2 yard line this year. He's only scored on one of them. Well, I asked Nick Sirianni specifically about this after the show yesterday, and Nick, I thought, gave an honest answer. He said, like, yeah, sometimes you want to get in the ball, but the quarterback sneak, it's hard to have a negative play on a quarterback sneak. And
I find this
kind of
logic
negative
very
yards.
circular from Nick
And
on the
so-
negative plays stuff. But go ahead.
And so you're trying to, it's just more efficient, right? And Saquon this year, he's had, of those 4 carries, 1 was a loss, 1 was a touchdown, 1 was 1 yard, 1 was no gain.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then speaking of self-flagellation, you were upset with yourself for not knowing off the top of your head how many rushing touchdowns Jalen Hurts has.
I was upset about that. I should have written the story. So I should have written the story.
You shouldn't have. You didn't.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
He has 11
It's
touchdowns.
okay.
Saquon has 8 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns. But I mean, Saquon in his career, I have all the numbers in his career. To answer your question, by the way, I appreciate Chase Daniel from Plainview helping subsidize PHLY. And there is a tie-in.
I feel like Boxer's technology has actually gotten a lot. Boxers have gotten a lot better over the course of my lifetime.
In what respect?
Like boxer briefs.
They're
more comfortable now.
Okay. There you go.
I don't know if that's quite technology.
So you think like the mesh material or the?
It's pretty good.
Okay, it's more breathable. Yeah.
Yeah, more pliable.
Okay, pliable. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know if that's quite technology.
Okay. You're really searching for. Yeah, come on.
I think we can agree the internet has been a net negative.
No way. The internet's no. The internet's.
I mean, maybe for a nice little slice of time it was good, but now it's a disaster.
Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah, it's awful. Are you kidding me? It's terrible.
The internet is amazing. It's
think of all the misinformation that can be out there. Think of all the
information that's out there.
Oh, how can you figure out what's
and
what?
Think of the access to information. Think of
Nah.
I mean, come on, like this is such an antiquated view of society. It's such a pessimistic view of society.
Don't be so naive.
I don't know who's the naive one here. In any respect, Saquon Barkley. The question: Jalen Hurts, for every touchdown he scores this year, he's donating to the air conditionings in Philadelphia schools. He's already hit the $100,000 threshold. He's trying to fund air conditioning for more schools now in the Philadelphia school district. He was on Good Morning America this morning, so every time Saquon stopped at the 1 and Jalen pushes it in, it's $5,000 out of Jalen's pocket, and then more if some other people donate. But Saquon, his 8 rushing touchdowns have typically come from farther out than that. He's not going to stop short of the goal line. He does like to score. He made that clear. He wants the touchdown. But he also likes the brotherly shove. And he explained that he likes the brotherly shove because of like the symbolism of the play. It's man on man. There's a certain toughness that comes, they're trying to stop you. You're trying to, and so he thinks that there's a certain attitude that comes from that play. They're running it. You got to try to stop it. And the cool thing about the mic'd up segments is that you kind of see like, all right, he's true to his word.
Sure.
He was against the Giants. He was calling for the brotherly shove. He said, I already got mine, right? And then I have the transcript here from Jason Kelsey, that podcast back in March. Jason specifically said to him, man, don't get stopped at the 1, right? Because he said, Jason said he used to apologize in the huddle to DeAndre Swift and to Miles Sanders. So anyways, you can check that out on allphly.com.
An absolute elite sicko callback in the chat from Ryan, who says, hold on a second. Wasn't calling girls to ask for what the homework was your big move in middle school?
That wasn't my move. No. I didn't have it wasn't a move. It definitely wasn't a move. It's
absolutely a move.
It wasn't a move.
I'm putting 99 turkeys on you still remembering Julia's phone number from childhood.
Yeah, I probably do, but then that wasn't a move. Julia and I spoke more on Instant Messenger actually than on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, aim. That's my best game for sure.
You're good on. I bet you. I bet you're a creative.
Yeah, luckily I didn't have to update it since then.
So I'm one of 6 kids, and we had one computer, and we used to always. So yeah, we would like have to allocate time.
Philly
split up
boy
time.
5.
Philly boy 6. There's 6 kids in my family, but we would split it so. Like the hours from like 6 to 8 or 7 to 8. That was when like you wanted to be on.
Would you get half an hour each?
And Matt would hog it.
Classic Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Josh?
Josh wasn't as much into the instant messenger.
Okay.
It was more Matt, myself, and Alex.
Okay. Yeah. But Alex was the youngest one.
Was the younger one. But I wanted to, I wanted to use the instant messenger. Anyways, we're so off course here. Yeah.
I actually back to the negative thing that Nick talked about yesterday, like how you don't want to lose yards. I find that to be an interesting peek into the way that he looks at games, where it's so much about trying to avoid the worst case scenario, as opposed to doing the best thing that you can to chase the best case scenario. I think that sort of is a through line in the way that he coaches.
That's a good point, right? He wants to.
It's like at the end of the first half, they've got 1st and goal from the 9. Yeah. They run it twice, and then they have the sack on 3rd down when the 2 guys run into each other on the mesh play. Like, yeah, okay, you didn't lose yards on 1st and 2nd down, but then you put yourself in a gotta have it situation on 3rd down when if you had tried to pass it one of those other 2 times, you probably had a better chance to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not violating confidence here. Like in Nick's office, there's a sign. If you saw Pat McAfee show last week, you saw the sign, and in that, Nick, there's a sign in there that like the team that makes the fewest mistakes, like fortune, favors the team that makes the fewest mistakes, or something of that nature. And he's very much oriented in avoiding here. It's I actually pulled it up right in front of me here, and it is. I actually can't fully see it here, but essentially the team that makes the fewer mistakes wins the game, and he very much wants to avoid the mistakes as opposed to the potential benefit of it. Now, I did find it interesting in terms of like Saquon's career number, and shout out to True Media. We can look up all this stuff, and you see like in Barkley's career, he's had 18 carries from the 1 yard line. He scored touchdown on 9 of those plays, so he's 50% from the 1 yard line in his career. The quarterback sneak has been more efficient than that.
Yeah, that's fair. There you go. All right. Want to start with your first? You want to go something you were wrong about? Something you were right about?
I would rather start with things I'm wrong about. Because you can learn from what you're wrong about.
Do you want to go one wrong, one right, one wrong, one right, or do you want to flagellate, and then maybe congratulate yourself at the end?
I'll defer to you there. What do you think?
Let's ping pong it.
Ping pong it, back and forth. Okay.
You wrong, me wrong. You right, me right.
Yeah, I was wrong about Quinyon. I thought Quinyon was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good. And I think I said that Nate Wiggins was going to have a better rookie season than Quinyon Mitchell.
I believe you did, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Quinyon Mitchell is playing at a Pro Bowl level. He's been a legitimate number 1, not just a starting caliber cornerback, a legitimate number 1. I liked him coming out. I know there's a YouTube short of us talking about how it would be unlike the Eagles to trade up for him, and I still stand by that. And by the way, they didn't trade up for him because I said the profile is atypical for them in terms of a smaller school player who's a senior. He's on the older end. There's more projection to his game. I really liked what I saw at Toledo. I certainly liked the athletic testing, but I did not know how he was going to project. And even during the summer, I found it a little concerning that he wasn't taking those snaps on the outside, that it was more Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo, and he was playing almost exclusively in the slot for the periods of times that we watch practice. And I also said that I like Terrion Arnold's profile a little bit better than Quinyon Mitchell. And now I will own up to that one. I was wrong. Like, Quinyon's been outstanding. I like the way he's wired. I love the way he plays. Everything you hear behind the scenes in terms of like the type of worker he is, the type of learner he is, the type of just like a football player he is. And then you're seeing the results. And the evidence backs it up. Like, quarterbacks aren't throwing to his side. So I am beyond impressed by Quinyon Mitchell, and I did not expect him to be this good.
Well, this is interesting because you're now going to make me go with one that I was right about. And now what I have done is I have bucketed these into 3 different things.
Okay.
There are things that I tried to follow the data that I was wrong about, that I was right about. Things that I was sort of reading tea leaves on, that I was wrong about, that I was right about. And then some things where I was just trusting my eyes, that I was wrong about and that I was right about. And relative to Quinyon Mitchell, if we go back to the draft, I had Terrion Arnold just a slight tick above. I thought, slightly younger.
Yeah.
I'll take that with the
Alabama,
SEC pedigree, all that stuff. But when we got to training camp, and you can see it, like I did the ranking 1 to whatever, 85 or whatever. Number 1 was Quinyon Mitchell. To me, he was the star of training camp, him and Jalen Carter. It was apparent right away that he belonged. And even though he was spending so much time in the nickel, you saw like the willingness to be physical. He was not missing a beat. You saw the speed. And so for me, that's one of the things that I feel like I was right about, because my eyes told me that, wow, like this guy's awesome. And we said it at the end of camp, like as much as Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo were getting snaps outside, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinyon Mitchell's starting outside week 1. Now, who knows if the Isaiah Rodgers hand injury is the reason for that. But to me, it was very clear early on, and I didn't think he was going to be this good right away, but I thought he was going to be a big part of the defense as a rookie.
On August 15th, when he's taking most of his time in the slot, what was your perception of that?
That Vic Fangio likes this guy so much, he wants to find a way to get him on the field. Mm-hmm. Then he has earned that. Yeah. And I mean, I think he would have been playing week 1 no matter what.
Yeah. No, they clearly wanted him on the field. Did you think that being this good was in the realm of possibility?
I mean, I guess like a 95th percentile outcome, but yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be quite this good. Now, I also think there's a little bit of like the narrative is catching up to what's been the case most of the season. Like in this game in particular against Washington, as Fran told us, there was a lot of zone. Like it wasn't quite like him just locking down Terry McLaurin snap to snap. I think there's a little bit of like the lagging stuff going on, but on the balance of the season, he's been awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right.
Should we get to ads and then go?
Let's take a little break, and then I'll tell you something I was wrong about. Although I may not get there. There's not that much to pick from. Coming back after this. Now, here's one thing. We all hate technology, right? It's ridiculous. It's made our lives worse in so many ways. But one of the ways that you can fight against just the unceasing barrage of technology in your lives and pulling all these things away from you is a slight bit of technology that's going to help you. So what I'm talking about is Rocket Money, okay? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find, do I have the wrong one?
Yeah, but the other one, the one you want to talk about is also technology. Yes.
Should we give, we do still love Rocket Money.
This is also technology oriented.
This is from yesterday.
Yeah.
See, you know what? The laptop's not even helping me out.
It's a laptop's fault here, bro.
Yeah. Let's talk about game time. I actually, you know what? This is a real benefit of technology, because back in the olden days, if you wanted to go to a ball game, you'd have to just go to the stadium and buy your tickets. Now you can check out your Game Time app and decide whether that's going to be worth your while, and you get a better deal on it. So I'm gonna make my list too, thanks to Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing app in the business. We're talking all-in pricing. We're talking seat views. We're talking lowest price guarantee. Ticket coverage where your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They've also got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. If you're in LA this weekend, just go to the listings for the Intimate Dome and see how much it's going to cost.
We probably should have flip-flopped these advertisers, because But this is one I feel strong about. I love technology. I make no mistake about it. But sometimes technology can't fix everything. Sometimes you need someone who's just like a human who has the expert touch, something that computers can't replicate. And that's where Ace Hardware Home Services come in. Maybe you have a leaky pipe. Maybe you have an air conditioning issue. Maybe you have a faucet that you wanted to fix. At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. Whatever the issue is in your house, they have a person for that. They're not just the helpful hardware folks. They are the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, we're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
I'm glad you brought up Ace, Zach, because it's time for our Ace Hardware temperature check. Let's take a look at who is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temperature check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. I don't know if you want to say things have totally cooled off or gotten fully on fire, which way you want to take this, Zach, but Joe Douglas days are over. Cooked in New York.
Yeah, you know what? And I covered Joe Douglas here. I wrote a big feature on Joe Douglas on the Inquirer. I think Joe Douglas is a good football mind. I don't think he has, and I think he's a very nice guy too. I don't think he's done enough with the Jets to keep that job. And the reason I say that honestly is because 6 seasons, there no playoff appearances in those 6 years. He missed. He missed on the quarterback
twice.
Twice. He missed on the draft pick. Then he missed on the signing. And I know there was an injury last year, but still. And then he has made a number of really good picks. I mean, Garrett Wilson, Bryce Hall, Jermaine Johnson. They Will McDonald.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah. They've I like the pick this year for Shanu. But
Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton was his pick and didn't work out, and then he's here. But I look at it overall that this is Sauce Gardner, although Sauce Gardner's having an inconsistent year. This makes sense to me. You're a GM for 6 years. Your team doesn't make the postseason. I feel like that division got worse during his time there. Right, Tom Brady left. There was an opportunity.
Come on, Tom.
Yeah, I think he. I think some of his signings, didn't work. He pushed the chips in the table for Aaron Rodgers, and it clearly has not worked. And the Zach Wilson pick at number 2 overall clearly did not work. So when you look at it, I think that this goes to sometimes it's not all about the drafting and kind of the talent eye. It's putting the team together, and you have to hit on quarterback. You have to hit on head coach. He hired Saleh. Robert Saleh didn't work.
My only thing is, and the balance of his record is that he probably doesn't deserve to keep his job. It's been 6 years. It hasn't been good enough. There is a little bit of silliness to cleaning house when Joe Douglas is barely the general man and has not really been the general manager of the team since the day they brought Aaron Rodgers here or there. Right, like Aaron Rodgers is making or pushing the chips in favor of every decision they're making
on offense. Yeah,
I think even beyond offense. Like I think this is Aaron Rodgers' show. They have handed over the organization to him. It's all on him for the current state of stuff.
Yeah,
Joe Douglas brought in some good players. I don't even think the timing is that crazy because you get a head start on it now.
Yeah.
And
he was actually in the last
trade deadline is passed. Like so, there's nothing he can do anyway. I think that's all fine. But this continued scapegoating of different people when Aaron Rodgers is the one in charge is just a little bit silly.
Yeah, but I would say he invited that. Now whether that was Woody John, when you're a GM, you work for somebody, right? But still, they had to go get Aaron Rodgers because Zach Wilson didn't work out, right? And look, I mean, 6 years. I imagine he would tell you that if he's being honest. Now,
do you think there's a chance he comes back to Philly?
Yeah, now I know he's highly respected in the Eagles building and the Ravens building. Now the Eagles have an infrastructure in place now with Al Calby as an assistant GM, John Ferrari as an assistant GM. So if he were to come back, my guess is it would probably be in like a senior advisor role. I don't think they would put someone in over Halby or Ferrari at this point. You know,
I would be pretty surprised. I could see like a because like the hiring cycles now are post draft. I could see like he comes in as extra eyes for the draft before the draft, and then he finds where he's actually going to land.
Yeah. No, I mean
after the draft type deal.
He's close with the Chargers GM Joe Hortitz. So there's a number, and look, I think that the draft track record is really strong, or is for the most part strong. Especially compared to some other teams during this span. And when I've been reading like the social media coverage of this, a lot of people are pointing to the draft picks, but the overall record of the team and the quarterback situation has been problematic. And there's and the head coach and the coaching situation. There's no defense to that. And that the job is more than just picking players.
All right, that'll do it for your Ace Hardware temperature check. www.aceHardwareHomeServices.com.
By the way,
to get started.
I would also say this, similar, because you said the timing of it. It's like I'm watching these Doug Pederson press conferences in Jacksonville.
Yeah, tough.
And it's like, if you're going to fire the guy, right? I never understand the point of like just keeping a guy there as an empty suit for the rest of the year. I hear the argument sometimes.
Probably right.
I hear the argument sometimes like in-season firings don't work. The Jets aren't
what's your Jeffrey Lurie line? Once you decide something must be done eventually, it should be done immediately.
That's not a Jeffrey Lurie line. Yes, it's Jeremy Foley. You know who Jeremy Foley is?
Jeremy Foley,
yeah.
ESPN.
No, Jeremy Foley is the former athletic director at the University of Florida.
Jeremy Schaap.
Jeremy Schaap is that? Yeah.
Jeremy Fowler.
Two totally different people.
Jeremy Roenick.
You're just mentioning Jeremy's now. Yes.
Jeremy Spoke.
Yeah. Oh. Who's Jeremy Spoke?
Jeremy Spoke.
Who's Jeremy Spoke? Am I supposed to know that? My future brother.
It's good to have a nice off the rails you and me show.
Yeah. My future brother-in-law.
This is like a real off-season show.
My future brother-in-law's name is Jeremy. He's my favorite Jeremy.
Oh, Sweet Greens Jeremy. I mean, Athletic Greens Jeremy.
Athletic Greens Jeremy. Yeah. Yes, Athletic Greens. Sweet Greens Jeremy. I was like, sure, he likes salad, I suppose. Yes.
Jeremy Salad. That's a good.
Yeah, Jeremy Maclin.
Jeremy
Macklin's an underrated player during the past 25 years. I always enjoyed. He was my first Sunday story at the Inquirer.
Nice.
Yep.
Speaking of anti-technology,
where's this?
This Apple commercial.
Which one?
Where the wife uses the Apple AI to create the slideshow for her husband because she didn't think of a birthday present for him. The worst commercial I have ever seen. I mean, we are celebrating this woman's negligence as if oh, look at this, I have fooled my husband into thinking I love him. I am the winner of the day. Get the hell out of here.
Perhaps people find it relatable. Right?
Drop that woman like a bad habit.
Wow. Jeez.
Ridiculous.
Some people.
Oh, my kids! My stupid kids created this really thoughtful present for their dad. I am so jealous. Oh, let me pretend like I did something. Oh, thank you AI for faking my love in a marriage. Get the hell out of here. That's what Apple. That's the message Apple wants to sell us. Is that with Apple you can pretend like your relationships matter?
I'm a big fan of Apple, so the advertising. I actually haven't seen that ad, but
really, it's on like every football game.
It was on Red. I was watching Red Zone this past weekend.
Well, not on Red Zone, yeah.
Yeah. So then the Sunday night and the Monday night I've been watching when I've been working, so I'm not watching the commercials.
The S-eating look on that woman's face when she drops it, like, oh yeah, I really fooled that jamoke. Like,
gosh, you were so anti. I mean, you have an Apple computer, you have an Apple phone.
I have no choice.
Sure, you do. You definitely have a choice. I mean, There are many different types of computers. There are a number of different types of phones. You're choosing that
It's a better laptop.
You believe in the quality of the product.
That's debatable.
I mean,
it's so ubiquitous. Like I don't want to be the green bubble man.
Derek Bonner doesn't have Apple products.
Yeah, stronger man than me.
I have Apple products because I believe in their company.
You believe in their company? That's such an outrageous take.
They have great products.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not like you believe in the I believe in the leadership of the company. Like, give me a break.
Well, I actually think Tim Cook's done a good job there, but
great.
Right. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
All right.
Anyways, back to
I gave you who my eyes were right about.
Yeah.
Here's who my eyes were wrong about.
Yeah.
And this is one where you can balance it out by saying you were right.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit skeptical because, this goes to running backs are difficult in training camp because they're not running. I thought Saquon looked fine in training camp. I didn't think he looked special this summer, and I was a little bit skeptical that like the investment in Saquon was going to look like it paid off. I mean, he's still got to stay healthy through next year to really make it pay off. But I was absolutely underselling the possibility that he was going to look completely different in this offense. And it's every game. He has runs that like I'm just wow. It's really impressive. And it's not just like the efficiency and the fact that they're one of the best running teams in football and they've changed their identity because of it. Just like the aesthetics of it. He is so fun to watch. And then this is the nice thing about even when I'm wrong, it just means I was right earlier because me being wrong about this a little bit really just circles back to my opinion in 2022 that what would happen if the Eagles offense had a real running back, how special could they be? Turns out that was right. I just had forgotten about it.
Okay. You're funny. I did want to follow up on something you said in there. You think he has to be good next year for this to pay off? You don't think like if he's outstanding this year, I think if he's outstanding this year, that pays for itself. You essentially you strap yourself on the 2 years of him, and if for one of those years he's perhaps the best running back in football, to me that pays for itself. Like
I think you're probably right, but I think it depends. I think if
we'll see how
if they crash out in the first round and then he gets injured in training camp and doesn't play all season next year, then on balance it probably wasn't worth it. But I think you're right that you were paying for special, and he has been special this year, no doubt about it.
So my number one on this list is I was right about Saquon in the sense now. I mean, it's not like saying much there. I thought that he was an elite running back. I said he's an A player, and they're paying an A player A money. That was the line I used back in March. I thought he was an upgrade over DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift were both very productive here. And I thought that if you take the production that they had and you looked at the production Saquon Barkley had in an environment that was not nearly as conducive for running back success, I thought that it would just raise the entire level. And that's exactly what's happened. Now, I thought that he would be the beneficiary more of like the passing game than I didn't expect him to carry this thing, but he's been awesome. And I can also say too, from what I've heard, he's been like great behind the scenes too. And
I thought the nugget you had from Lane after the game was very interesting.
And I think it's noteworthy too because look, this hasn't always worked out that you bring in a high profile player and sometimes these guys struggle to assimilate. Sometimes it's like they're used to being the guy where they were.
And that's also not that's not some rookie saying that.
Yeah.
That's Lane Johnson saying that.
And I always, Freddie Freeman is like a terrific teammate, or a terrific player, terrific teammate by all indications. I don't know Freddie Freeman. This is just what I hear. But I remember there was a famous thing where
isn't he like very anti
what?
like young Latin players and their flair? Wasn't that a deal in Atlanta? He and Acuna have a spat.
Okay, maybe so. But anyways, if you remember when his first year there, Clayton Kershaw made like very pointed comments that he said about Freddie Freeman, like I hope we're not second fiddle basically meaning like he's got to get over Atlanta. And there's a part of this. I thought Saquon actually did a good job during the summer of like really trying to push away the Giant stuff was going on in Hard Knocks. He did that sit down with Diana Rossini. He talked about his first press conference. And look, this keeps coming up. And he even said, if the Giants game, I hope we can move past it. And I'm all for players talking about narratives. I love narratives, right? But I do think in that locker room, you don't want it to be a situation like what DeMarco Murray was, frankly, where you kind of feel just like a hired gun. And I think he's really been a part of the fabric of this team, and he's been awesome on the field.
I actually do think there is still room to debate whether or not it was the best use of that money, especially in conjunction with some other moves. But I like the degree to which he has been super special and probably the best running back in football. Yeah, I think it's been very impressive. And what's also comforting from my perspective, and not only was I right earlier than I was wrong here, but it's nice to know that Daniz was even more wrong.
Deniz is right about so many things. I would err on Deniz's side more frequently.
Okay. More to come on right and wrong just after this. They're our presenting sponsors. You know them, you love them. And why? Because they're like my friend Zach Berman. They're never ordinary. Not for 1 second. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and they live stream over 780,000 events each year. And you know that's right, because why else would you pick a number like 780,000? When you get specific like that, you know they're telling the truth. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across, another one here, 78 different sports. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. They've got early payout offers. They've got single game parlay stuff going on. If you're betting, you're just being a moron if you're not using Bet365. The deals are too good. And if you follow the PHLY specials, Jamie Lynch, he's just trying to make you money. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I was out the other night, and I was at the bar, and there's all these different choices, and to me there was only one choice to go with, and that was a nice cold Miller Lite, because a lot's changed over the years. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't is that it's less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975. We still have not settled it. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer, less filling, and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
All right, Zach, I'm going to give you my tea leaves one now, okay? I'm just trying to read the way that things were going, where money was spent, who's got power, what the history tells us. And I think, like every other single person in the world, except for maybe Vic Fangio, I mean, I was wrong about Zack Baun. And the thing that we talked about, this is a guy who was in the same place in a very good defense. The team had drafted him in the third round. They never gave him a shot at inside linebacker. Seems preposterous that he would come here and excel in that role and hold on to that job. I thought that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. potentially was coming down the pike to maybe replace him. I thought that they spent more money on Devin White, so there was, he was going to have a longer leash. Obviously, I was wrong about that, just like Howie Roseman was, and just like everybody else in the world was. Yeah. I'm telling you, I mean, there's one guy who knew this. Zack Baun didn't even know that he was coming here to be a star inside linebacker. Only Vic Fangio did. So I thought we have seen so much shuffling of the deck chairs at linebacker here that, I mean, obviously, I didn't see this coming. I was wrong. And yet, I do think I was right here also.
This is a bit. This is definitely a bit. Okay, what were you right about?
Well,
all right, let's hear this.
I'll tell you what. I was watching the Rams offense last night.
Okay.
Watching the tape of their game from Sunday. And I told Fran that I was going to save this for Thursday, but now that we're talking about it, I got to say it. I'll tell you what, there's a 53 on that Patriots defense who's flying all over the place.
Ellis, yes.
And I'm not saying that if Vic Fangio was the Eagles defensive coordinator last year, that Christian Ellis wouldn't be. I'm not saying that he would be the same level of Zack Baun, that he would be an all-pro caliber inside linebacker. But what I am saying is that if Vic Fangio had been here last year, Christian Ellis would still be here, and Zack Baun wouldn't be here because they would have a starting caliber inside linebacker in Christian Ellis in the Vic Fangio defense. Number 53, moves the same, looks the same, star. Christian Ellis, they flew him out of town so that Zack Baun could run.
Okay. You know, someone said to me the other day, someone was like, you know, I know you like to like bring in all viewers. You don't like to like cut off any viewers, that kind of thing. You like to keep this like very like by the book. What was going through your mind when Bo was doing the Albert O thing? And I was like, you know what? I kind of thought Bo might have something up his sleeve there. I said, when he did the Christian Ellis thing last year, that the 12-minute monologue in the priest outfit, that's the one where I was like, what is going on here? So that brings that to mind. Zack Baun. I'm gonna have more on this for full disclosure next week, leading up to the Ravens game. I'm gonna have a big piece on this, and I'll really get into the inside linebacker situation. I'll have some details there that.
What's your deadline here?
Black Friday.
Okay. Because you're pegging it to
the Ravens and Roquan Smith.
That's right.
Remember, a team that really invests in linebackers.
That's right.
It's that natural peg that everyone goes in this game and they're saying they sit down and they say, what are the big storylines this week? And they say, you know what? There's one team that really values linebackers. There's another team that historically, where can I find a piece that really delves into this? And the place you can find that is all PHLY.com, of course. But I'm excited for that. I have some good information in that story that might not be out there yet. So looking forward to putting that out. Zack Baun, I didn't see that coming. Now, that's not on my list because I figured you'd be going with it. But he's been all-pro caliber. I was talking to someone about this today. I've been using that too much. I've been talking to someone. I got to be careful with that. But I did say to someone today, the Eagles, this is the best linebacker play they've had in my 13 years covering the team. And there was a period, I thought Jordan Hicks played at a really high level in 2016, I believe it was. But I like the way Zack Baun's playing, and Kobe's been really strong as well. So, that's a good one. I'll give you something I was wrong about too. I like more what I'm wrong about. That's DeVonta Smith. I thought DeVonta Smith was going to be a high-volume player in this offense. I didn't think he was going to be the odd man out, and I use that in air quotes for those watching, for those listening. I thought that the short and intermediate passing game was going to be real conducive for him. He's so good at getting open throughout camp. He just looks so smooth. And I through the first 3 weeks of the season, he was getting volume. Part of that, AJ missed week 2 and missed week 3. But ever since the bye, and we discussed this a number of times, he has been, he's kind of been lost in this offense. And I think they need to do more to get him involved because he is so good.
And that's one of all the things we're talking like that could still change.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a 2-3 game stretch where DeVonta breaks out to some degree. I think.
But in my predictions for the year, I think I said DeVonta sets a career high in receptions, and that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. All right, my rejoinder to reading the tea leaves a little bit wrong versus reading the tea leaves right. Tea leaves, rather. I mean, who else told you in May that Tyler Steen was not going to be the starting right guard? It was just watch and listen to everything they did. We've already been over this, but they didn't let him start as the backup right guard last year to Sua Opeta, And then Sua Opeta, they let him leave, so it's not like they love him. Nick can't even remember his name at the owners' meetings. They signed Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton's playing left guard in the spring, and not tackle. It seemed pretty clear that this thing was being set up to not trust Tyler Steen for whatever reason, because I think I like Tyler Steen as a player more than the Eagles seem to. But it seemed pretty clear, even entering the summer, that this was probably going to be Mekhi Becton's job.
Yeah.
And that is how it played out. I think the injury played a part in that, but I think it would have ended up that way anyway. And, just sometimes you're right.
I actually have Mekhi Becton on here too, so I won't use that one when I get to it. But yeah, I thought Mekhi Becton, once they moved him to guard, I said that he's starting at guard. And I'm curious too whether they try to resign him. I thought Steen looked decent, but the Eagles don't like to let good offensive linemen out the door.
It's true, and yet, like I said, I like Steen. I would probably let Becton go. I would
and
be
I still
fine
think I still think
Tyler
that first
Steen
round
as a
pick,
yeah.
the same logic that we talked about last year, that first round pick might be a tackle who can play guard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would be hesitant to like sign some long-term deal with Mekhi Becton before free agency. I would sort of let the market play itself out.
Water gun to your foot. Is Mekhi Becton playing right tackle or right guard or guard next year? Is he playing? I'm sorry, offensive tackle or offensive guard next year?
Oh, I think he's a guard.
You
I think he's a
you
guard
don't think a team's
moving
going to sign him as a tackle?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll give you my third that I got wrong, and then I'll do my two right after that. I thought this was going to be a middle of the pack defense. I thought Vic, and you framed it better than anyone in the media, and I follow everyone in the media.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, you said that that Vic Fangio raises the floor more than he raises the ceiling.
I wasn't wrong about that.
No, I mean that as a compliment. That framing I thought was absolutely right. I'm like,
I think that was their goal. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, if Vic Fangio gives you confidence, the offense is so good that a competent defense and as high-powered offense, you're going to be in the thick of things. I did not see a top 5, top 8 defense. I didn't think they had the personnel for it.
Yeah, no
I didn't know how the scheme was going to be. They've been otherworldly during this winning streak, the 6-game winning streak. Now we'll see if there's regression coming. But I'm so impressed with Vic as a schemer, as a play caller, and by the way, as a press conferencer, as a speaker up there.
Yeah, anything interesting from today?
Yeah, I liked what he said. He was talking about Jalen Carter's snaps. He's like, he was already playing a lot of snaps. There was a difference between 90% and 100. The difference is
what
10%.
the hell's the difference? He dropped an H.
Yeah, what the hell's the difference? Yeah, my kids would say, you said the H word. Yeah. Have you ever cursed around your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. and do they pick up on it?
Every now and then. We had I forget exactly what it was, but I can't even tell it because we're not allowed to curse on the show anymore. But there was a funny one with Jane where she dropped an F-bombs. It was like the question was like, what do I say? What does Daddy say when he makes a mistake? Or what does Mommy say when she makes a mistake? And instead of I'm sorry, she paused and she goes, F?
Sloan called me up and said, Mom cursed. I said, what did Mom say? And then she said it. I was like, Sloan, don't say it. It's like, but you asked me.
She's quoting.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
fine. It's a quote.
Yes. Yeah. So then I will give you then. I have two that I got right.
But on the defense, I mean, nobody saw the defense being this good.
Sure.
I think again, even the Eagles internally would be surprised at how good the defense has been.
Yep. My number 2, and look, I think the whole world was on this. This wasn't me, but I expected Jalen Carter to be awesome this year, and I think Jalen Carter's been awesome this year. In particular.
Oh, interesting.
Or
you're saying you were right about Jalen Carter and you thought he was going to be awesome?
Yes.
Huh?
Do you disagree?
I do.
Okay.
I thought Jalen Carter was going to be like competing for Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was going to be that level of awesome.
I thought he was going to be the best player on the defense.
I thought he was going to be the best player on the defense, but I thought he was going to be impactful in a like game-wrecking way every other week type deal. And I don't think he's been at that level. I think he has been awesome and has been the best player on the defense, but he has not hit what my expectations were for him this season.
From a stat production or from all-around play?
Both.
Okay. I thought earlier this year. I thought there were some inconsistencies earlier this year. I think during this run, he has just dominated the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
On a game in, game out basis, I don't think I agree. Okay.
Well. And then my last one that I was there was one that I had in the Mekhi Becton one, which was Cooper DeJean would be the starting slot this year, and he's
Okay.
And then my other one too, and this one is hard to quantify or qualify even, but I didn't think that Nick Sirianni lost the locker room. And I thought that Nick had the team behind him, and I thought that going into the year, I thought that after the Bucks game, after the Browns game, and I think that I don't think it's all said and done on Nick. He's got to win in the postseason, but the fact that he's sitting here 8-2, 3 years in a row with I saw a stat yesterday that Zach Taylor could lose the next 26 games and his winning percentage would and Nick Sirianni would have Nick Sirianni could lose his next 26 games and he would have a better winning percentage than Zach Taylor or something like that. Now, Nick's won a lot of games. He has to win in January and potentially February, but I think the team responds to Nick, and I saw that coming into the season.
Yeah, I think the Nick conversation, it's too early to take a victory lap. I think the entire stakes of the Nick Sirianni season is about what happens at the end of the season.
Is Nick coaching the team on March 1st?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
but that's not necessarily what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think it's also funny that the two things you were right about were Saquon Barkley and Jalen Carter.
I mean, I was right about more than that, but I focused more on what I was wrong about.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's review the thing. Well,
this is the literal story of you saying Jadeveon Clowney is the guy who I think I would keep my eye on in the draft.
That's true. Cooper DeJean starting in the slot.
Yeah, the guy they traded up for in the second round who can play the slot. That's not a huge surprise.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. My where the data led me wrong. Listen, I was bullish on Bryce Huff. I thought Bryce Huff was a classic case of he's shown that he can be this efficient with this many snaps. There's no reason to think that you blow up those snaps and he's going to be super less efficient. And you just look at the quarterback hit rate, the times he's hit the quarterback divided by the pass rush snaps that he's had. In 2022, in 180 pass rush snaps, he was hitting the quarterback on 7% of those snaps. Bump that up to 2023, last year. He goes all the way up to 460 pass rush snaps. He's still hitting the quarterback 7% of the time, which was the top 5 in the league, looked like one of the most efficient pass rushers in the league. And there was reason to be a little bit skeptical about that because he was on third down. He was in a unit where he was not the focal point of opposing blocking schemes. And yet, this season, in 145 pass rush snaps. By the way, I was using total snaps. I should have been pass rush snaps. It was 164, then 315. This year it's 145, about the same level as 2022 when he was at 7%. He's at a career low 2.4%. He has been obviously an enormous disappointment, not just to me, but to Howie Roseman, I'm sure, and the defense. He is 4th or 5th in the pass rush rotation right now, depending on a week-to-week basis. And so, yeah, I thought that he was going to be the best edge rusher they have, and he has been their 4th best edge rusher. That has been a tremendous surprise to me. And yet, I mean, I was right if you go all the way back to the Shrine game from 2020 Shrine game. I did identify him as a player who could be a pretty productive NFL player. And so even if I'm wrong, I'm right. We appreciate those of you watching on TV. Wave to Zach's grandparents. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show.
I would say so if you trust your eyes, I had concerns about Bryce Huff during the summer.
Sure.
And
we had the same conversation. Yeah. We was like, how much of this, are we trying to remember Hassan Reddick? Is this the Lane effect?
So I kept wondering, is it Lane Johnson? And then I had concerns too when he was playing in the preseason game against the Patriots. And
Fran, I'm not talking about pressures. I'm quarterback hits. This is tangible. Get pressures out of here.
And by the way, it's like so the fact that they were playing Bryce Huff and Devin White in that preseason game, and they're like, well, these are new guys. We just want to get them acclimated. But
Play Nolan Smith too.
Yeah, but maybe it's like they need to get their eyes on guys who they weren't sure on. And so Bryce, I'm curious about how this Bryce Huff situation works beyond this season.
And then where the data was right that I was following, and I wasn't quite as vocal about this because I didn't want to be a buzzkill.
Oh, you a buzzkill? No, you don't say.
But I was not as bullish as everybody else. The Dotson trade, like he was not a super productive player.
Yeah,
and
I didn't like the price, but I thought he was an upgrade over.
Yeah, but the price was crazy.
Sure,
a third round pick, and I think we talked about this all off season long, and I think you and I were right about this. Like they handled this position wrong. They could have just signed Noah Brown, right? And they wouldn't have had to trade for Jahan Datson. They would have got the same level of player, if not even a little bit better, this season. There were other ways to address the position unless they were sure it was going to be a real part of the offense, which it obviously is not.
And I also think that they misread the wide receiver market. Now, part of that, of course, is you're buying the rookie contract for 2 years. But nonetheless, I think that there was, when you look at what wide receivers went for in the market, it was more of a buyer's market than a seller's market, and the Eagles trade did not indicate as much. And by the way, there's the benefit that we've seen. The Eagles, they benefited from signing players early, right? Because you're not reacting to the market. The flip side is they made this trade before the market, and then had they reacted to the market a few weeks later or a few months later, the price might have been different.
Okay. You know what? We've had a whole hour of the show, and I still haven't seen any other good examples of technology in the chat. So I appreciate that.
I would argue that the chat itself is a good example of technology. Like literally, we are sitting here.
Yeah, you really need to hear from Santiago.
I didn't see what Santiago said.
Oh, he says it's proven Apple uses slave labor to make their product. How do you feel about that, Zach?
Are you sure about that?
You believe in the company, you said.
Yeah, I mean, are you sure?
Let Tim cook.
Are you sure? I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. I'm not sure that's accurate.
Well, guess what? There's no way to know. There's no way to tell what's good information or bad information, Zach. Not in today's media ecosystem.
You know what? I believe very sure. I don't understand how believing in technology is a bad thing. The amount of data that I have about my body on a daily basis is wonderful.
How is that helping you?
It's helping me in an enormous way. It's helping me in
Zach, you sleep 3 hours a night. Well, it's not helping you. All you're knowing is finding out that you're not doing a good enough job.
That's that. No, there's other data that it gives you.
Okay.
You can, you can learn a lot about your heart rate, for instance.
Okay.
There's plenty of other metric points, or I should say data points that I use that I find beneficial.
Okay.
But yeah, I think technology overall. I mean, there's
bad.
You think about the technology with medicine.
Yeah, I'm setting aside medical advancements.
Okay.
Vaccines, things like that. Those are all great. I'm not.
Okay. You think about transportation.
I'm mostly thinking about like big tech.
You think about data, like
with their ulterior motives.
Do you like using True Media?
I do like using True Media.
So I was talking to I never know if I'm allowed to say who I was talking to. I was I don't think this is bad. I was
Jeffrey Lurie.
No. I was talking to Jason Stark, a guy I have great admiration for, and like he used to have these baseball almanacs and like box scores of every game that he would have to parse through, and now literally I can with 4 clicks I can see every Saquon Barkley run that ended at the 1 or 2 yard line in his career. Like that has made my job considerably easier.
Okay.
If you want to tell me how many times the Eagles blitzed on third down, when I started on this beat, my colleague would watch the film and would chart that, like have to chart every single one. Now you can just pull that up.
Okay. Yeah. That's solid.
But I would say the fact that this show we're doing, you can watch the show on your phone. You can watch the show on your computer. You can watch the show on your fast channels. By the way, Xfinity, if you have X1, if you have Roku, if you have Samsung, you can watch it on that. You can watch it on your tablet. You can comment. People are watching us from around the world, and I mean that literally around the world. I sent a book yesterday to someone in Australia. I don't know when it's going to get to you, but it'll get to you.
Good, I might.
I love Australia. But yeah, technology is a wonderful thing. I feel that there's times when I leave the show.
You know what? I have seen you pound harder than that. That is a very tepid
There's times
pound.
when I leave the show and I say, well, I'm lefty,
Harder.
so I pound harder with my left hand.
Once again.
There's times when I leave the show and I'm like, oh God, what did I just say? I feel confident dying on the hill of technology.
All technology?
Well, by and large, I
I'm
think
dying on the hill technology.
technology is a good get. I think technology has made our world better.
Yeah. I don't know. Fresh Prince says, and this is Super Chat, he says, we need more dad talk at the end of the show, and here we are. Could y'all talk about toddler jealousy? I have a 2-year-old girl, 3 next month, and a 9-month-old boy. Certainly a real thing. You know, one piece of advice our doctor gave us before our second child was born, Jane, which I love, is like in front of the older child, like discipline the baby so that the older child knows that the rules apply to both of them, even though the baby has no idea what's going on. But like, you know, like performatively put the baby in timeout or whatever it is and say like, you're not supposed to do this or that, so that the older child knows that it goes both ways. I
like that. And I told Reed recently, comparison is the thief of joy. He did not know what I was talking about. But that's a true story. I said in the car, I said comparison is the thief of joy. He said, what? I said, look that up on your tablet. But in all seriousness, no. There
drippy this. Reed.
There was, my kids' school, they had like Star of the Week, and Sloan was the Star of the Week in the like early in the school year, and then Reed's Star of the Week at the end of the school year. And because in Reed's class they did it reverse alphabetically, so Z to A, right? And so he's the Star of the Week in May, and he says to Sloan, he's like, well, being Star of the Week at the end is actually better because you can get the ideas of what everyone else does and like know what's good and what's bad. And I'm like, Reed, just tell Sloan it's nice that she was Star of the Week. You don't have to take that away from her.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a little toddler. But comparison is the thief of joy.
I mean, it's a saying. That doesn't make it like factually correct.
Well, in my opinion, this guy's comparison is the thief of joy.
No, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, Claire says, how do you discipline a baby? And so I put the other day I put Reed in timeout, and he had to sit in the corner. And every time that he complained or said something, 30 seconds were added onto it. And so he learned to.
So he's still there.
No. But actually, Reed behaves wonderfully. That was an exception. Sloan sometimes acts up a little bit more.
Classic second child. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Reed's very obedient. Reed respects authority figures. Yes. Reed's not quite. Yeah, I wonder where he gets that from.
There you go. That's good. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Jamie and Rich in the saddle tomorrow.
I will join.
Technology permitting.
Technology permitting, true.
And then we're back on Thursday with Fran to talk about how much Zack Baun is like Christian Ellis and to think a little bit more about the Rams game coming up on Sunday. And then we got Day Niz in studio on Friday. We're going to hear from Jordan Rodriguez later this week for a little behind enemy lines peek at the LA Rams. Sachin, what was that? He said, we had the older one give the baby a gift from right at the hospital. He felt like a big brother and that he had to look out for his little brother. Love that. That's a good piece of advice. I'm afraid for real time. I believe he's already got the 9-month-old. So, but that's okay. That's good advice for everybody else. All right. Thank you, Julia. Let's get one more Julia chant going for the engaged couple. Julia. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. For all of us here at PHLY, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Ezra, good one. That is a technological advancement. However, I believe that probably existed before we were born, but a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.